Hey, it's 13th October, so uh, let's talk stories. So, the book I'll be talking about today is one of the two books that I've completed today. That is The People We Keep by Alison Larkin. Uh, I have so much to talk about this. So, one of them is I'll start with the history. How did I come across it? What happened? So I think it was a month or so back uh, when I got to know about this book called The People We Keep, and it did not interest me much. So the premise looked interesting. The premise looked uh, when you mix. I mean, the premise. I'll talk about the comparisons later, but the premise looked interesting, and I started listening first. I started listening the script, but I did not. I did not connect to it much in the beginning. Right now, after a month passed by, I read a couple of books in between, and I was looking at my Kindle, and I found that The People We Keep. Okay, because I've downloaded it based on a good recommendation. I don't know from where. So I started reading it, and I was very captivated by the narration. So, so the way you describe it, we describe the book is I'll describe in three sections, like always, right? The first one is the prose, the story, the characters. The prose. The prose is what I describe it as, like how I'm talking, right? It's just like that. So there is no specific structure in the prose. It's just a conversation. It's in a first person view. It's in the perspective of the protagonist, uh, and the protagonist, uh, she is the we start seeing her in 1993 in a rural America when she was 16 years old, and how she fends for herself, how she works in a cafeteria, and how and her cafeteria owner Margot, who was her father's ex-girlfriend, and they have a very good rapport. And so I'll talk more about Margot in the characters section. But coming to the prose, there is a distinct, refreshing sense of prose, this refreshing sense to it. So it's like you and me talking. It's like two person sitting together, and it's like we are listening to the protagonist speak about her life in a delicious way, in an extremely non-eccentric, in an extremely light way. So she is a person, the prose, right? Because the entire prose is from her perspective. So we get to see her very closely, and she's a person who doesn't who is not afraid to take on the challenges of life, and who takes a step forward and then think what might happen when she takes the next step. She's not a person who stops. And there are some moral dilemmas that I had while reading it. Why was she doing this? So basically, I'll explain. I'll go to the next segment. That's a story. So the story. So it's one of those things where the prose takes the precedence over the story. The characters takes the precedence over story. There is no story to start with. So it's a journey of a young girl, young 16 year old girl, whose passion in life is music, to sing songs, to write them, to perform them. That's it. She doesn't have any grand ambitions. So we as a person, we as a people, we have grand ambitions. We have a skill, right? Now when I see her, when I was reading her, that she didn't have any grand ambitions with her skill. And to start with, she lives in a rural American town, and when her mother left, and she had a father who is in a relationship with a different woman and who left the protagonist to fend for herself, right? All this time I'm trying to remember the protagonist's name, but I'm not. It'll come to me. It'll come to me at some point. Um, yeah. So all this time she's left to fend for herself in a small motorhome they have, and she have a mysterious, immature-ish boyfriend, and his parents doesn't like her because she's a dropout. She's doing nothing. She's just roaming around singing songs, just living her life normally, right? Now, at one point of the story, an altercation between her father and her triggers her to go away from home by stealing a truck. Now that's where the story starts. So at least we think, but it did not. It doesn't. There's no story. I said it, right. So then she roams around, and she lands in a town called Ithaca. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Ithaca, and that's where she meets two wonderful people by the name of Adam and Carly. Carly uh, is a is a is a person who works in a coffee shop where who gives the protagonist her job. Okay. Now, April. Yeah. How can you forget her name? It's April. And the April, the job, Carly. So they form a good camaraderie, and Carly is a uh, Carly just got out of a tumultuous relationship with her girlfriend, uh, and who also plays a key role. The girlfriend also plays a key role, and she is introduced to Adam, uh, uh, 20 a person in his late 20s who and April introduces herself to Adam as a 16-year-old girl, and April herself initiates a relationship with Adam. Because so when I thought about it, I did not like the idea initially, but when I started to see the world from her eyes, I started to realize that she wanted someone to feel comfortable, right? Shows all her life nobody was there to make her feel comfortable. Everyone left her to fend for herself. When this guy Adam, uh, uh, when he started taking care of her, it's obvious that he she fell for her. She fell for him. So then we start to realize that then we start to see that okay, maybe April will live here, like for the rest of her life, right? It's going great for her, and the relationship with Adam is going great, and that's where the Carly's girlfriend comes into picture, where she blackmails that she assumes that okay, Carly and April are in a relationship, and she blackmails April that she will she will tell everyone in the town that she's a minor. She's 16 years old, and April gets afraid, and April gets she doesn't want Adam's life to be ruined, so she takes off from there. So that's where the part one ends, and the part two. It's 4 years later. We skip to I think it's 4 or 3 years, where April is roaming around in her truck, singing, performing in clubs, bars all through America, where she starts meeting random people, where she escapes from a predator named Ray, and she kicks him in the nuts, and she escapes, and we are introduced to um, uh, someone called Justin, who's a young brat out of college, and who I don't like a Justin character, but I don't know why uh, April was attracted to him, probably because of her loneliness, and Justin does her nothing good except giving her a baby. I don't know if that's good or not for her in this circumstance. So I'll talk more about it later. Now she moves on from Justin. At that time, she didn't know she was pregnant, and now she moves on from Justin because of various reasons, and then she meets two wonderful guys, Ethan and Robert. Ethan is a gay. Ethan is a gay, and Robert is gay, Ethan's neighbor, and who where April starts performing in Robert's bar. Now they form a relationship, Robert and April, and then she realizes that she's pregnant, and initially she thinks that Robert is the father, but she waits for 4 months to the crushing realization that she can't disclose this information to the man she loves, to the two people she loves. Ethan is a wonderful guy who who takes care of April while during her stay there, and she can't let this information. She can't tell Robert the information that okay, he's not the father, when he was all excited and excited to welcome the baby. So what will you do? She leaves again. She leaves again, and she is 4 months pregnant, and she leaves again with the baby, leaving everything, leaving there, leaving all her possessions there, and takes off. And that's where the next part starts, where she is 8 months pregnant. Now she gets the call that, performing all around the country, she gets a call that her father is about to die in next 2 days. So she starts back. She starts back home, and while on her way home, her father is dead. Right now, she cries. She throws up. She hasn't thrown up for during her 8 months pregnancy, but she throws up then across the I-90, or I don't know what the road was, and she goes home, meets Margot, meets all the people, meets her stepmother Irene, and her stepbrother, daughter, sister July. So when April introduces herself to July, little girl didn't know that April was her sister. And when April says that her name is April, July says that okay, I have a sister named April. That's the innocence of the children. Now she leaves the Little River. That's her home place again. She goes back on road again. She lands in Ithaca again. She contemplates meeting Carly, and she couldn't do that, and she leaves all the notes that she has been writing for 4 years. Not she used to just write those letters and not post them, but she takes all those letters, keeps them in an envelope, places them on the counter in front of Carly when she was not there, and leaves. And when she was looking at the dark sky, and in the campsite that she spent the first night in Ithaca 4 years ago, that's when her water breaks, and that's when Carly finds her and takes her to the hospital. Now the final stretch of the story ends here, where Margot, Ethan, Carly visits her in the hospital, and Ethan offers his home in Ithaca. So where when April was living with Ethan, she says that when Ethan was contemplating to move, April says that you should go to Ithaca because it's a really cool place, and she has a good memories of Ithaca. Now Ethan takes up on that offer when April leaves Ethan and has settled in Ithaca. Now when April is in the hospital, on the hospital bed after delivering his baby, Ethan, Margot, Carly became the people April kept. Now the characters are the people that we see in Western stories mostly. uh, a warm neighbor or restaurant owner, in this case Margot, an extremely an extremely generous person in the name of Ethan, and the person whom the protagonist didn't like the first but started to enjoy his time. That's Carly. That's it. There are no characters. The So I've spent a good 8-9 hours with April reading her journey, and I thought, okay, I realized that she was never alone. Probably I see the loneliness in the people because I relate to it, and I see that she was all through her life she was in a hustle. She's in a hustle. I really would have loved to see her climb up the ladder. But I don't know what happened to April in the imaginary world of Alison Larkin. But I would have loved to see her climb up the ladder and to show the people uh, what uh, what she is capable of. To be precise, what the people who don't deserve to climb up are capable of. That's what I would have loved to see. uh, and there was one scene where when April confronts Justin, the teen trashy kid, she slams the door on her face, and he kicks her away when she says that he's the father. He says that I'm not. You might have roamed around and you would have got yourself pregnant. It's an emotional book. Uh, this is one book. This is probably the habit that I developed, where I start to look forward to my everyday walks around my house, where I start reading the book in my Kindle, keeping my, that will also boost my step count, and also I'll be doing my reading. Um, yeah. So when I started reading, this gave me a sense of the where the crawdads sing with Relaya once, and no, but when I started to the when I came to the end of it, I realized that it's not something that I read, something that I've read before. It's a road drama. There's no drama. It's a first thing that came onto my mind when I was reading it was Eva Zubek. So I thought she was the person. It's so bad of me to even say this, but I thought she was the person who was writing it, because I've seen her journey in her Outlander. Uh, I thought she was the one who was writing it. Hmm. Yeah, I think I enjoyed it. I didn't think that I would enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. I think that's it for the story. Let's meet with the next one, Salvation of a Saint, in the next one.